Hi there, everyone. My name is Kathy Thompson. Before we start, I just really have to apologize. I have Wi-Fi issues, so my screen is off today. But we have the lovely Annie and phenomenal Suzanne that you guys can look up. They are beautiful. So that's what it is today. And for our Superwoman Entrepreneurs Chat, today we're going to chat all about the competition. Who is our competition? How does it work? What can we learn from them? How can we gain traction through them? Proximity is usually a very, very good way to gain traction as well. So do you want to be part of that environment? Do you not want to be? That's what we're chatting about today. Like I said, my name is Daphne Thompson, and within our Superwoman Entrepreneurs, I focus on the marketing side. Annie, please tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, I'm Annie, and I have an immigration practice in Cobourg, Ontario, Canada. And I help people come to Canada. And the best thing about my job are things like yesterday, where I had a full family of 4 become permanent residents of Canada. That was a big, it was a big deal because they have been in Canada as farmers for a long time. And so this was, kind of a one-shot deal for them. And we made it through. We got through the program, and they are now permanent residents. So it's just, those things are just so rewarding and just so great about this industry. And we had a few other wins yesterday. So it's been a good week so far. So cross your fingers it stays that way. But yeah, that's a great thing about this practice is that it's all about problem solving and helping people. But it's also my own little baby enterprise, so I get to run my own business and do my own thing. And when it comes to competition, I actually love the competition. I think they're wonderful. They make you do better. So if you're ever afraid of your competition, go check them out. Go online, check them out, see what they're doing. Sometimes you're pleasantly surprised and you think, I'm actually pretty good. And I think that's great for your ego. So you should definitely go and look for those things. I find a lot of the time I think, everybody else out there must be so much better than me. And then when I speak to them or I look at something they've written or have, look at the work they've done, I find out actually I'm doing just fine. But then otherwise, maybe they've got an amazing blog post or a really well set up website or a great way to bring in clientele, and you need that information and you need to learn from that. So they've basically given you the information. So why don't you want to use them? So it's a matter of perspective. You cannot be afraid of your competition. They're always going to be there. You can't make it go away. So there's no point in worrying about them. You really need to use them to the best of your ability and for as much as they're giving you. And they're going to help you grow your business. The other thing is you can collaborate with them and then you'll grow your business more. So there's so much good stuff about competition. And that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, Suzanne.
Hey, good day from Australia. Competition, gosh. So I'm Suzanne Scarrow and I'm a psychologist counsellor in Far North Queensland. And for the first 20 years or so of my counselling, I just was on my own. I was this strange lady who did EFT tapping, and no other psychologists that I knew did that. And so it felt like I was just in this little tunnel of my own and I didn't need to worry about competition because there wasn't any. And that was a bit of a dream of mine because that wasn't true at all. The competition is always there. There are the other psychologists that people would go to, obviously, were my competition, and the other people who do EFT were my competition. And so I'm coming out of that tunnel now and trying to build my business online. And obviously there's lots of competition, but as Andy says, there's so much to learn from them. So, and there's nothing to fear because there's so much need out there for the services that you offer that there's enough work for everyone. So there is no need to fear the competition at all. But I guess from my personal standpoint, I need to be much more aware of them and their, as you said in your comments earlier, Daphne, the strengths and weaknesses of them. So I'm on a learning process. So thank you.
That's very, very accurate of saying that too. There's so much that you can learn from our competitors. And I love that, Annie, what you also said is that when you see what other people are doing, sometimes it either helps you to pick up your socks, pull up your socks, or it can be, hey, I'm actually not that bad. I can just pat myself on the back a little. But Tommy, thank you so much for joining us today. We are talking about our competition,
Pleasure.
what we can learn from them. Please do introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about you and what you think about your competition.
Hi everyone, my name is Tommy Abibu and I'm a commercial brand director of the media company, Big Cell Media, and which we focus on helping technology and B2B businesses market themselves and stay on top of the trends, basically. For me, and with regards to competition, I mean, you can imagine the space of media marketing is massive, is huge, and I feel that the challenge within my industry is more of there's so many things you could do. Is more of finding that niche that you're comfortable with, because it's just so many things you can do. And when it comes to competition, I believe that competition is healthy. Now, it's healthy because it keeps you on your toes. Now, there is a thin line between healthy and then panicking, because sometimes when you see what your competitors are doing and you're like, oh my goodness, I should be doing that. But you have to understand that your competitors, depending on what size they are, their goal is different from your goal. If you're a small business or medium-sized business, your goal is different from a large organization where they have the board members to please and they have to be doing things to please their board members. Now, if you put yourself in the position that, oh, you want to be doing exactly the same thing your competitors are doing, then that is a problem, a huge problem that you're setting yourself for. So what I have learned is to take my competitors as a form of a learning curve. So when I look at someone, a company, an organization that is my competitors, then I know that I have to put in a lot of work in, but at the same time, don't compare myself to them. Now, for me as well, what I do is to help others get clarity and within their business, because as I said, from my experience in the past, one thing that I know as an entrepreneur is you can get so clouded with so many things going on online and offline. So what I tend to do is devise a system to help you out there, a female entrepreneur. If you're in a business and you're confused, you don't know what decisions to make and how to really clarify your goal, your vision, your next step, how to grow. That is what I do. I help you gain clarity, to find your own niche, find your own space, be comfortable with it. That's me.
That sounds brilliant. Thank you so much, Tommy. I love what you said about also learning from your competitors. I think that's going to be a very big key point of what we're going to discuss more from today about our competitors. Trace, I know it's super early. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, lovely ladies. It's great to be hanging out with you again from all over the world. It's technology is great. It just means that we can connect with kindred spirits all over the world. I love it. So we're talking competition today.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Competition. What can we learn from our competition? What does competition mean in your business? How does it form part of your ecosystem? Do we just brush them aside? What's your take on it?
I've had an interesting journey with competition lately, Daphne. I did a massive rebrand and I did a massive pivot because of the pandemic. And so I started looking at what other people were doing and trying to see where I fit into the space. And it was a really interesting journey because, first of all, it taught me that what my skills were and where I fit into the market. But then as time went on, I recognized that the comparison-itis was really, digging into my my productivity in a way, because I was always worried about what the competition was doing. Was I good enough? Was I stacking up? And it was it was really sort of hurting my progress. And I was, I'd signed up to everybody's newsletters, and I was watching what they were doing, and feeling a little jealous of that they were gaining so much traction and I wasn't. What I did was after I figured out who I was and where I was in the market, I shut out all the noise. I unsubscribed to all the newsletters. I stopped following people on social media, and I really just dug into what I was doing, and who I was and who I was serving, and that was a really, really interesting journey. What do they say? Comparison is a thief of joy. So while it was good initially for me to find my feet, and for me to sort of understand, the range of pricing that was out there, it actually, that was a really good lesson. But after a while, I just turned off everything, and I just went and did my own thing, and that's been much better.
I get it. So what you actually did is, first of all, you made use of your competitors to do market analysis. You use them
Yes.
to understand what the pricing ranges are, understand the strategies, see what works, what doesn't work, and then compiled your own way forward, which is basically you use them as learning, right?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
I 100% agree with that. So what I thought about the other day, when you are going to, for example, a mall, or you're going to a specific district, usually a area is full of car dealerships, or another area is full of clothing places, another area is full of jewelers. That's usually how the retail market is situated, right? I had a lot of clients ask me, yeah, but okay, because there's so many car dealerships there, I want to open up a car dealership right on the other side of town where there is none. And my point, or my thought process was, all right, there is none there. So do people know about it? Would they go there? The known industry for car dealerships is in this one specific area, which means there is traction, there is proximity, there's already marketing, there's already all the traffic that is going there for this specific reason. Don't you think you'll have a better chance of getting some of that marketing and some of that foot traffic without doing a lot of effort? How much would that be in return if you had to create all of that traffic for somewhere that is completely unknown and completely new? So what would your time, money, and effort be by either being in proximity where all your competitors are and feeding off of them, versus trying to create a whole new market on your own? What do you guys think? Just, I'd love to hear all of your input on my take on this.
If I'm going to come into that, I think it depends on the amount of market in that specific area. So, say for example, where the dealership is, if you open the current one is, if you open a new dealership there might not be enough market there, whilst the new one could create an opportunity for you. If, say, for example, that other dealership is very far away and people have to travel travel a long way to get there, looking at different circumstance, the new place, the new location could just be the right thing to do. I mean, it's like opening like a petrol station, for example. I mean, that is one example that came to mind, is that, sometimes distance can be an issue for people. However, if you open something that is open one that is maybe the only one in a community, that could benefit. So I guess it depends on the market, the audience that is in that specific area, and look at different circumstances, because sometimes going to the same place might not necessarily be advantageous to you. So I think it's best to do a bit more research about what level of revenue you would get in both specific areas.
Trace, what do you think?
I guess it all depends on what you're selling. So, like I said, it really does depend on what you're selling, and then also, carving out your particular market. So the thing about competition, especially, you know, in fields that I think a lot of us work in, which is the development space and the coaching space, and the, you know, the marketing space, there's a ton of other options, and you know, people, you know, what is the differentiation of that? And that is who are the people delivering, and that is the brand, and that is what people are resonating with. So even if you're perhaps, you know, if you're a life coach, for example, and there's a ton of life coaches out there, but what's the piece that people are going to resonate with? That's the piece that no one can compete with, and that is you. That is the person delivering it. That is the brand. So even though you're operating, you know, in a crowded market, you very much stand out by leveraging what you're good at. What are the things that you bring to the table that somebody else doesn't? And also having the confidence to say, well, you know, what I'm doing is unique, and, you know, and it gives you particular benefits. So like I said, it's hard to speak in generalities about this because it's very different if you're selling a physical product or if you're selling you know, a coaching product, but, you know, working out what is your unique selling point, working out what that is, and then really just focusing on that, and making sure that what you're delivering is resonating with the people that you're in front of. So I think you really can be anywhere, but you know, you've really just got to leverage on your brand and your strengths. I guess being a branding person, I'm a bit biased, so.
I love it. I love these discussions. All right. So my point behind this is when you are in proximity, usually everything rubs off. So if you're in proximity of your competitors, their marketing efforts will rub off on you. And yes, the stuff that you do will also rub off on them. That is true. However, in a combined effort, you will also get some of the traction. You will also get some of your sales and things, where if you are in a proximity area where people are known, the marketing is already done, the traffic is already coming there, it is a well-known thing. In general, the cost of new client acquisition is lower. Annie, what do you think?
Muting. I agree with you, Daphne, but I also, to the other points, you know, like I've been in the situation where I had a restaurant in a new area, and it was really quiet because people weren't coming to that area yet. And so, you know, you had a really brief honeymoon period because it was a well-known chain, but it was tough for a few years. Then we started to get some competition in the area, and it was good. It actually brought a lot of people there. And as you know, at first it was a little bit tricky and we were a bit worried with this competition, but it all settled out, and suddenly there were just more people there. And we actually had one of our best years ever. Then the market became saturated. There were more restaurants than you knew what to do with in one area, and not enough population. So you had what we call a shortage of bums in seats. And that's really all it was. And so that's where the sales started to plummet. But at that stage, what you have to do, and what we did, is you have to focus on your quality of food and your quality of service. And that translates to any business, your quality of product, your quality of service. And you will be able to improve your sales that way, because people will start to recognize that you're the place to go. And maybe the place, you know, 2 steps down the street just isn't as good. The issue is that if the numbers are too out of whack, you just run out of, it's just not enough bums in seats, and it doesn't matter how good you are, you're not going to have enough business. So there is a real balance there, and you do need to be, I think, in the right area for your business so that your niche is apparent, it stands out, that sort of thing. And so I think that restaurant industry is particularly challenging because typically they all do go to one place. They're all in one strip. And there was such a long period of all chain restaurants. So there wasn't a lot of uniqueness to the restaurants out there. But with other businesses, I think it's that It's that you do have to find your niche and be able to draw your crowd. You still want to be in an area that people are coming to, because if you have walk-ins, if you're a business like mine where it's not based around walk-ins, it's irrelevant. I could be, anywhere with internet. The only place I can't be is a place without internet. But otherwise, it doesn't matter where I am. People can access me. But for a business that's relying on people coming in, even if it is an office place that does a lot of work online, but they need people to be able to come in, then it's got to be in an area that's accessible. So yeah, it depends, like everything.
Totally. When we're talking about those saturated areas and things, I 100% agree with you. The one thing that I want to ask, please feel free to just say what you guys think. But when there is a lot of competition within a market, usually the goods are cheaper to obtain because there's a lot of demand. So the cost is usually a lot easier. These are just benefits from having big competition when you've already established a market. What other benefits do you think is there from having a lot of competition?
I can jump in and answer that if you like. The benefits of knowing that there's a lot of competition out there means that there's a lot of bums on seats, is what Annie was saying before. And if there's a lot of people out there selling, then there's a lot of people buying. So then it's your job to really carve out your niche, carve out where you fit in the market, what is your unique selling propositions, what are you going to give to that is different from other people. But like I was saying before, you can't get too overwhelmed by the competition. You've got once you have figured out your unique selling point, double down on that. Once you've got people that are buying from you, figure out why they're buying from you and recognize that that's what's working. So do more of that, and rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Because once you've figured out your what value you bring to the market, and you've found your customers, you've found your people, then you just need to find more of those. I hope that's useful.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, because what I'm understanding is that when you go into a market where there's a lot of competition, which means there is a market demand, one. Two, you have access to the market because there's a central place where people are actually coming together for it. So what is another benefit from actually having competition within the market?
The benefit I could see, really, as I said earlier on, is learning and basically trying to identify, because sometimes you might feel saturated within yourself. So I think your competition is a form of education for you. So when you see what they are doing, it's not necessarily, emulating them, but sometimes that's the way I see my competitors. I see them as like a mentor to me, and see that, okay, in my field and what I'm doing, what can I add to what I'm doing, or how can I do better? So it sort of helps me to stand even firmer and to stand my ground even firmer. And as I think it was the Annie that said earlier on, that sometimes as well, you might feel that, maybe your competitors are doing better than you and things like that. And eventually when you have a conversation, or you sort of are in touch with have some sort of connection with them, then you realize that you're not doing so bad. So I see competition as from the get-go, from like over 10 years ago when I've been in business. My competitors have more or less been my mentor. That's the way I see them. So I don't necessarily fear them, but I look at them as, okay, how can I improve myself? How can I be better? If there is a space to be better, basically.
I love what you're saying, though, how you can be better, Tommy, because in your clarification and the specific value that you add to your customers is clearly defining and getting that clarification out, and that will include the market where they're going, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm very, very, very keen on getting gaining clarity in every single area. So, in as much as I am here, analyzing my competitors, is you're really mapping, what they're doing, understanding what they're doing, and understanding where you are, and be able to know that, okay, am I clear in my goals? Am I clear in what I want to achieve? And that is where my clarity comes in for myself, from me, within myself, and also within my business, and that is what I bring out to help people in.
Mm, very, very much. So, Trace, I want to touch on what you were saying about carving out your niche, and that goes hand in hand with Tommy was saying with the clarification. So we realize that now when there's great competition, where there's a market, we know that it's access to the market. It's sometimes it's a give and take to penetrate that market. It could be easy or very difficult, depends on your niche, and it depends on how you get into that. Um, what would you say is one way that you can penetrate a very competitive market by differentiating yourself with what? What are some of the aspects that you can try and brand yourself, align yourself with, that is that niche for you?
I think it always comes back to asking questions, finding out, meeting people where they're at. If we stay in this sort of, marketing / development, work, like finding out where people are at, finding out what solutions they're looking for, and then delivering that. So that's always a good place to start. Because we're all more than one thing. We've all got our we've all got things that we like doing, but we can deliver on lots of different things. So if there's something that's really competitive, speak to people, find out what what they're needing, what problems they've got, and actively going out and solving those, and learning about yourself as well as what the market is doing. So it's a constant back and forth between the feedback from the people who are paying and the people who want to pay with their wallets open, and also where your skill set is and where your head is at the time as well. So yeah, being in a competitive market, it's all about information. It's all about asking and receiving.
I love what you said about the mindset that you have. Because Suzanne, I want to ask you about that mindset specifically. You are in
Yeah.
a super, super competitive industry. Technically,
Yeah.
there's so many mindset coaches and life coaches and all these different people that is working with the psyche in different types of ways.
Yeah.
What do you think is one of the things that helps you, or how helps you when you look at competitors?
Yeah, it's really interesting to me because as I was saying before, I kind of had the blinkers on for quite a long while, and it was a bit of a wake-up call to me, and it really hurt my head when I had to start thinking about all these things that you're talking about. So it's like, oh God, don't make me do that. Just let me work with people and get the results. But what I figured out eventually was that there is a uniqueness to the way that I work with people. And so I really started to focus in on that. And just recently, I've been building an app. And to build the app, I needed some beta testers. And so I put the ad out for a particular niche of people, women 45 to 65, who had, given so much of themselves over the years that they'd lost themselves. And that was kind of the niche that I was looking at. And the interesting thing was that when I put that ad out, the first applicant that I got was a male in that age group. So it wasn't a woman at all. But when I niched down, that really spoke to him. He realized that that's what he needed as well. And so now this amazing group of people have come together and it's working really well. So obviously niching down is a really good thing to do, which I didn't realize before. The mindset of it really for me personally has been to trust myself and to believe in what I'm doing, and to know that there is no one else who does things the way that I do them. So even though there is an absolute plethora of people out there doing similar work, there's no other Suzanne Scarrow out there doing it the way that I do it. And, you know, to be able to even say that to you ladies on this forum was, I would not have been able to say that a few years back. So it's really building that self-confidence and that belief in yourself and the knowledge that you can do. When you're doing what you're passionate about, you can do anything. Yeah.
I would like to add to what Suzanne said about that, because I think a lot of women who are entrepreneurs, they don't realize in terms of their competition that their self is very, very important. And they need to think about when they go look for somebody who's going to provide counseling or plumbing or anything, they look online and they look for who they are going to be comfortable with. And that isn't necessarily the best person at the job, but it's whoever they have Googled or gotten a reference for, or they've had a session with or conversation with, and they feel comfortable with them. And so you may be that person. You fit a certain niche, and that's the same. Suzanne fits this certain group of people that feel super comfortable with her, and they're going to go to her no matter what. So you shouldn't be afraid of those competitions, because the reality is that if a client wants to go to that other person because that's who they're comfortable with, that's what they're going to do. But you're going to get their client that might have been, or someone who may have been their client, because they look at you and they think, this is a person that I am comfortable with and I'm going to do business with them. Then it's a matter of keeping that business and building your good reputation through your good practices and being a good businesswoman. But it's important to know that you are a huge part of it. And I always go, I have direct competition in my area with a girl who's a friend of mine and who is very, very good at her job. But we have different niches and we have different personalities. And we do find that people reach out to us with different needs for that very reason. And so we just work together on so many things, and it's great fun, and we don't have to worry about competition. And I admit, I check out her website for sure. She's my friend, but she does a good job. So I check it out. And if I'm looking for someone to do work for me, I say, go check her out because she's good at what she does. But I'm not afraid of her. She's a teacher. So
Definitely. Like, I definitely agree with that. There's so much synergy. And what a lot of people also have this mindset of is when you are in a very saturated or a competitive market, that there's not enough money, or there's not enough clientele, there's not enough of this. Like you were saying, adding not enough seats and like bums in the seats. And for certain markets, yeah, definitely that does happen. No jokes. But again, it is sorry, Toms. It is how you differentiate yourself. And after you put your input, Tommy, I'd love to hear Tracy's input, because both of us went through a very similar situation where we had amazing businesses, and COVID kind of knocked our feet completely from under us, and we had to completely restart, rebuild, repivot everything. And it was technically based, or part of it was competition, how to get back into the market. So, Toms, what's your input?
I want to look at this in another way. And I believe that in every single market, there is a level of competition. I feel every single market is competitive. I have, I've been involved in different types of businesses. Some have been successful and some have been awful. And to be honest, and every single time I step into that industry, initially I would say, oh, it's not too bad, it's not too competitive. But the moment I step into it, the moment I start, then I realize how deep the competition is. I feel there is no industry right now, you can prove me wrong, that is not competitive. It's because the reason why maybe you feel that it's not competitive is because you're not inside that industry. The moment you get into that industry, you see how competitive it is. A good example is one of my clients that I'm working with right now. I didn't know much about their industry before I started, but the moment I stepped into it and I started looking and doing research, and and start helping them with regards to their work, I realized, oh my goodness, this is massive. This is a huge competition, but I would never have known that few months ago. So I feel that we should not live in that illusion of, okay, maybe this industry is not as competitive, and that industry is less competitive. There's about 7 billion people. There's so many people in business, and as I don't know who said it earlier on, it's more about finding what you're comfortable with, what your niche is, and and grow and be comfortable, get clarity. I keep on saying clarity, sorry, on who you are and what you're comfortable with, and and start growing yourself. Just look at yourself like a seed that is going to grow into a huge and massive tree. And that's the way I believe that everyone should take it. But I feel we should not live in that illusion that one market is less competitive than another. I feel once you get into it, you'll see how competitive it is. That's my take.
Thank you so much, Tommy. I agree. Sometimes you don't always. That's where I think market research comes in quite a bit, where you look at it from all the different aspects to see who your actual competitors are, what are the keywords that they use, what are the value that they add, what is the differentiating factors, all of those things. But Trace, how did competition help and scare you during the COVID era specifically?
I've had such an interesting journey. So before COVID, I was doing a particular business where, it was a bricks and mortar business. I was delivering a service to people with, an actual service rather than an intangible service. So, and I was great at that. I was really confident. I knew that I was, top of my game. I wasn't really looking at the competition because they were looking at me. I knew who I was serving, what I was doing, and everything was fantastic. And then there was no problem with supply of customers. They just kept coming, and I kept delivering. And then the pandemic, closed off my completely closed off my business, as in, the borders shut. The people who were coming to take advantage of my service just weren't able to enter where I was. And so that knocked my confidence a lot, because it was hard, it was like, well, this is what I was good at. This is what I was known for. And to completely pivot into something else was really, really hard. And to figure out where I then fit into a new market, into a new, geographically, but also a new product that I was delivering. And on top of all that, because my confidence was just so shaken. It was a really, really hard journey. So, when Suzanne was speaking before about, taking ownership of who you are and what you're good at, it took me a long time to be able to say that even out loud. But I did tapping, and I did the mindset work, and because it was just so necessary to get me through. I had therapy as well, and did lots and lots of study. And I think, even now, nearly 2 years down the line, I'm out of it now. I've really found my voice again, I found my brand again. I keep bringing it back to branding because that's what I'm here for. But I really learnt how to rebrand and really learnt my voice through this pandemic. It's been really rough, I won't lie. But I'm trying to take the lessons that I'm grateful for, and be able to help other people through this journey, because that's it's not all roses and sunshine. There's going to be hard times. So being able to really identify where you sit in the market, how you offer a value compared to other people, is really good for your confidence as well. So that's my journey. I'm still not very articulate about saying the story, but I'll get better at that, because I think it's something that other people really would like to hear as well. Yeah, I'm getting there. So what's your story, Daphne? How has that resonated with you?
Well, thank you so much for sharing, because yes, I know everyone has been through a really, really tough time and a very difficult time during the COVID freak out of the world. But specifically with our situation is, again, we were still doing digital marketing, but from the country that I came from in South Africa, when anything happens that is instability, is they close everything. They stop marketing spend, they stop everything else, everything is just stopped. So I literally lost each and every one of my clients in 30 days when COVID hit. And that was a very big mindset shift. But also, my competitors were flourishing during that time, and I couldn't really understand why when I wasn't. So, what am I doing wrong? I had to look quite deep into the competitors, learn from them. Yes, it had a massive, massive ego hit, because this is what I do, and I wasn't able to do it right, and I wasn't able to do it good. Why? What am I doing wrong? So to looking at the competitors, learning quite a bit from them, I did go also into a lot of their training programs and a lot of their things to understand how they do it at a bigger scale, understand the different point of view that they have. Because now it's not just also one country based, it's all of a sudden global. And there is a mindset shift that happens. There's quite a different way of doing things in one country versus internationally. Um, and that's kind of where competitors actually really helped me to build my brand up again. And if it wasn't for all my competitors, I probably would not have been where I am right now, being able to do all these things. Because yes, they constantly push, they constantly teach, they constantly come up with innovative ideas. There's constantly something new that I can learn from them. And in a way, competitors are also my therapy, if you can see it like that. So
I mean, it's just like what I said earlier on, that I've always seen my competitors as a mentor, even if they don't know about it, right? Like I mean, from a very very first time when I got into my first business, the manufacturing business, I had no clue about what sort of leaflets I'm supposed to send out. I had nothing. I had no idea about marketing. So what did I do? I just registered with them as a customer, and immediately they sent me a leaflet. I did something similar. I looked at how they designed the whole thing, and I started, looking at the concept behind it, the brain behind it, why they're doing this and why they're doing that, and that is how I was like basically learning. Was more like self taught, but from my competitors. And when I was able to afford a mentor, I got a mentor on board, I got a coach on board. But my point is, I feel that in as much as competitors, if you see a competitor doing well and you aspire to be like them, feel you shouldn't feel demoralized because maybe you want to be, you are aspiring to be there and you're not there yet. Just keep on learning and be good at what you do. And that's one thing I have learned recently, that you have to be very good at what you do, extremely good at what you do. And that's the reason why you should endeavor not to do too many things, but whatever that you focus on, be so good at what you do that people will want you, because you will stand out.
exactly, and that's where the clarity and the carving out of your niches, and well, everyone says the riches are in the niches, because not every person can serve all the industries, but it's also the real money is in specialization in exactly what you do. So Trace, sorry, I saw you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I've just got one other thing to say about competition. Competition it's really good to know what they're doing and pricing and what have you, but it's also really the information on what you should be delivering and how you should be delivering is really should be really customer focused, because meeting your customers where they're at is and solving their problem is the value that you're offering to them, and they're the ones that are going to be paying you. They're the ones that are going to be paying your bills. So trying to outdo the competition, it doesn't actually serve you so well, because if you're trying to not show off, but if you're trying to, show up the competition, you may not be speaking to your customer. And so and the customer is the one at the end of the day who's going to be paying you. So yes, see where you are in the market, but deliver to the people who need you. Deliver a value to them, what they're asking for, and meet them where they're at, and speak their language, and don't necessarily worry about what the competition are doing, because they've got their customers that they're dealing with, and you need to serve your customers. So I guess that's just my last word, my last word on the subject.
I love it. Thank you so much. And that's it for us for today, for our Superwoman Entrepreneurs weekly chat. This is all about competition, what it means to you, how you can learn from them, how good competition actually is, in so many different ways. So for me is the last word from me, Daphne Thompson, and I focus on marketing within the Superwoman Entrepreneurs group, is proximity with competitors has got a whole lot of benefits, from learning to getting higher quality and traffic. So I would highly recommend to always be part of the group of where your competitors are in as well, if it's physically or even just online, but be part of that group of where the competition is. Annie, what about you? Your last word, and just a little bit about your role in the Superwoman Entrepreneurs.
Yeah, so, this is a good topic for me, because my role in Superwoman Entrepreneurs is helping people to understand those business relationships, and they have to do with competition, and meeting your competition and working with your competition, or working with colleagues and other people, and how that can grow and benefit your business. So my last word is the same as my first word, which is just don't be afraid of your competition. Use them for everything that they can give you. You can gain so much knowing what they're up to, even if it's just knowing what you don't want to be doing. But go check them out, and don't be afraid. Just get right in there and enjoy it.
Suzanne?
So my part in the mastermind is obviously mindset, and about really breaking through the barriers and limiting beliefs that we have. And I love your stories, Daphne and Tracy, about how the rug was pulled out from under you, but you still had enough belief in yourselves to build back up. You could have gone out and stacked shelves at Woolies or Coles or whatever you have in your country, but no, you believed in yourself enough to get out there and do what you believed in. So well done, you guys. My last word is believe in yourself.
Tommy?
Hi. My last word for today in getting to know your competition is really get to know your competition, your competitors. Do not copy your competitors. Understand what they're doing, why they're doing it, and see what you can implement that could help you grow your own business. But first of all, get clarity on who you are, your business, your vision, and where you want to be. So that's my last word for today.
Thanks. Trace?
So my part in the mastermind is branding, and really the three parts to the brand are what are your what are your strengths, what are your what unique things you're bringing to the market, the product that you're delivering, like what is the value that you're offering, but also an integral part of your brand is who are you delivering it to, who are you serving, who's the one buying. So it's those three elements that make up your brand, and listening to who's needing your service, and making sure that is resonating with them. So like I said, my part of the mastermind is really understanding those three elements, putting them together, and making sure that is reflective of all of those elements of who you are and what you're delivering and who you're delivering it to. So it's not just about fonts, it's not just about a pretty logo, it's about you doing the work before that to figure out what your brand is, and that's what I'm delivering, and I can't wait to do it. So yes, let's bring it.
Brilliant. So just guys, please follow us on our Superwoman Entrepreneurs page, our Facebook group, and our Instagram. We are launching our worldwide global Superwoman Entrepreneurs Mastermind, and we'd love to get to know you. So please do get in touch with any one of us. We'd love to tell you more about it. And we will probably have a live webinar soon to introduce everyone to our mastermind. Please join the community, and we'll be here same place, same time next week again. Have an awesome day all. Bye.
Bye. Take care.